a while since I've actually been able to share with you guys a Yin Yoga sequence. So after just doing a little bit of movement at home and getting back from a really beautiful holiday on the South Coast, and also jumping off all the social medias for a month, I now have all this time. So I wanted to share with you this video on some Yin Yoga poses to help us feel, honor, and nurture into the things that are painful. I'm not just talking physically, I'm talking the things that we push down, the things that we suppress, the uncomfortable shit that we really, really don't want to feel. But the more we suppress this uncomfortable feelings or old stuff, samskaras that get stored, the more it's going to come up when it's least expected. Anything can trigger it, whether it be a person, an environment, a situation, a car, or something that looks similar, or somebody that speaks the same. And it's going to trigger this pain that we have stored within us. And it's going to come up as frustration, as anger, as a closed heart. We might feel anxious, we might feel stressed, we might feel frustrated. I think I said that. But it's going to come up, and then what's going to happen is we then have a choice. We have a choice to either suppress it again, to push it back down, because of course in that moment we don't want to feel it. It's inappropriate, and if we push it down again, hopefully it'll just go away one day. Or the other choice we have is to let it come up, to surrender, to relax, to release, and to actually let it bubble to the surface. And it's going to be uncomfortable because it was uncomfortable when it went in to our consciousness. But when it comes out, it's going to be uncomfortable again. But if we allow ourselves to let it come up and to bubble up to the surface, what we will experience is, yes, a little bit of pain, and it will feel uncomfortable at the time, but then we give it the opportunity to let go and to move on, so that we have let this blockage, this samskara, an impression that we have held on to, leave our system, and we start to be more in flow. So pain is all part of the process, right? We are not meant to live our lives pain-free, and that, again, that doesn't mean physically, it means the experiences we go through. And I'll be sharing in this practice today quite a fair bit from Michael Singer, the Untethered Soul, must be the male man. So I'll be sharing a few passages from him on this topic, because we should be able to talk about pain and anxiety and all these uncomfortable feelings, just like happiness and love, just like happiness and love and gratitude. And by allowing ourselves to feel, experience, and nurture everything that comes up, whether it be a positive feeling or a negative feeling, it's all meant to be seen, heard, and experienced and felt in order to move through, in order to heal. So we're going to start in a seated position today. If you have a bolster or if you have some blocks, grab them. I don't really know where this is going. I never really planned any sequences ever anymore. I just felt the need to come to my mat and practice, and now that I'm not on social media, I have all this time. So grab yourself some cushions if you don't have a bolster, and even Tupperware containers are really good if you don't have a block. But just do what you can. Hopefully through this practice you won't necessarily need them, and I'll always give notification. So find somewhere where you're seated. I like to sit onto a bolster, therefore it just lifts up my hips, and I find that I can find a nice long spine. And we're just simply going to take a big breath in. Pause at the top for a few moments with the breath in the body and notice what that feels like. And then slowly, like you're letting out the air of a balloon, exhale really, really slow. Let's do that again. Full breath in, and notice where the breath starts from. Take a few moments here at the top and pause. And as you exhale, start to notice everything start to release. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe out. Pause. Just continue with this breath, breathing in for approximately 5 or 6 counts. A 3 to 5 second hold. And a slow exhale for 5 to 6 counts. And a 3 to 5 second hold. As you're simply doing this, the mind is going to start to wander. You're going to think about what you said prior to this yin practice, or think about what's coming up afterwards, maybe a meeting or a conversation with somebody. Maybe you're going back a few weeks or even a few months as to how you could have done something differently, would have, should have, could have, that kind of thing. Or maybe warring into the future, into uncertainty and not sure of what's going to happen with a job or finances or this COVID stuff going on at the moment. And as you're breathing now, I just invite you to just become aware that you are the one that is watching those thoughts. You are the one that is experiencing your mind going forward and backward. You are also the one that is experiencing this next breath in. So whenever you find yourself going forward or backward, I invite you to follow this next breath in. So as you breathe in, notice as it moves through the nostrils, all the way up into the pineal gland. And then what happens physically as the belly expands, you'll notice the rib cages spread apart and you'll notice the chest lift into the shoulders. And as you exhale, you'll notice the air move from the pineal gland out through the nose. And you'll feel the chest plates drop down, the rib cage compress, and the belly draw towards the spine. And just continue with this awareness of the breath, this following of the breath. And know that every time you start to follow your thoughts, which will happen, it's the nature of the mind, all you need to do is come back to following the breath. Meditation is not about silencing the mind, because most of the time we're going to sit here and we're going to have hundreds of thoughts go through our head, and it might be messy some days, it might be really chaotic, and you might be thinking about so many different things, and it might be really, really noisy in there. And I invite you to still sit with it and remember that you are the one that is experiencing the thoughts. You can separate yourself from those thoughts by becoming the observer. Michael Singer calls it, you start to sit at the seat of the soul. You understand that you are the one that is thinking those thoughts. You are choosing to think prior to this moment on something that has happened, or something that you wish you'd changed, or whatever it might be, or you're thinking or worrying into the future and what will happen if, and what will happen when, or am I going to make this much, or whatever it might be. That's a choice. And I ask from a very honest place, do these thoughts serve you? By going back on the things we've said, or a past situation, or blame, or guilt, or shame. Or going forward into the future, into worry, doubt, and fear. Is there any time that that way of thinking is ever going to make you feel good? So I invite you to come back to this next breath in and follow the breath. Nose, nasal passage, pineal gland, belly, rib cage, lungs, chest. And then follow the breath in the exhale. Pineal gland, nasal cavity, nostrils, chest plate, lungs, ribs, belly. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe out. Continue to breathe here for 10 more breaths. The heart is where pain comes from, and this is why you feel so many disturbances as you go through the day. You have this core of pain deep in your heart. Your personality traits and behavior patterns are all about avoiding the pain. You avoid it by keeping your weight a certain way, wearing certain clothes, talking a certain way, and choosing a certain hairstyle. Everything you do is about the avoidance of pain. If you want to validate this, just see what happens if someone mentions your weight or criticizes your clothes. You feel pain. Every time you do something in the name of avoiding pain, that something becomes a link that holds the potential for the pain you've been avoiding. You have 5 more rounds of breath. If you don't want to deal with the pain at its core, then what you had to avoid it had better work. If you are hiding yourself in a busy social life behind your desk at work, then anything anyone does that challenges your self-esteem, such as not inviting you to an event, will cause you to feel the pain. You will feel pain if the reason you called them was the avoidance of pain. And let's just say you go outside and call your dog, "Hey Spot, come here," and he doesn't come. If the reason you called Spot was to feed him, you just put the bowl down and let him eat what he wants. But if you called Spot because you had a hard day and Spot didn't come, you would feel pain. Even the dog doesn't like me. Why would there be heartfelt pain in the dog not coming? Why would there be pain in a friend saying they're going someplace else and they can't go to the movie today? How does that generate pain? It is because deep inside of you, there is a pain that you have not processed. Your attempt to avoid this pain has created layer upon layer of sensitivities that are all linked to this hidden pain. In order to heal these samskaras, these impressions, we need to let them come up as they come up. Take a big, deep breath in. And open the mouth and exhale, let it go. So our first pose is we are going to work straight into the heart space and come into reclined butterfly pose. So you're more than welcome to use the bolster. Nice space to be in, especially if you're tight. I'm going to show an option with the bricks, with blocks as well. So the back will start to, about the mid part of the back, you don't want to be on the lumbar, will be onto the bolster, and you're going to lie back, and if you need to support your head anymore with a blanket, then please do. The head will lie down onto the bolster, the soles of the feet will come together in butterfly pose if this feels nice for you, and the shoulders will start to peel open to the left and the right. So that's variation number 1, but if you feel quite open through the chest and the shoulders, you are more than welcome to use a block. So when you are working into this one, you can put the block on the lower height or the higher. I'm going to go the higher height today. And what you can also do if you have 2 blocks is support your head. You want to always make sure that your head is supported by something. Same deal with the feet. The soles of the feet will come together, the knees will go apart. And if you like, your arms can come out to a Y shape. So heaps of different options. You can lower the block down, or that head can come down to the floor if that's there. So this is our first shape. We're of course working into the heart space. We want to find a shape where we're not experiencing any pain. Some of you may be able to bring their arms above the head. Again, we are not looking for somewhere that is causing effort. We want to land into these yin poses. We want to land into these yin poses into a space that feels almost effortless, but we feel this space of our edge. It means we come into the pose at about 60%, and then we just choose to surrender. So if this is maybe one of your first Yin Yoga practices,
What's really important is not what I'm doing here on the camera, is about listening to your body and not trying to match anybody else physically and also aesthetically as to where we land. So please take the first option that we went through if you need to go there, with just that really simple line back onto the bolster and opening the heart. Over time, the body will start to open up and surrender, and hence why we're here for quite a few minutes to allow the fascia and the connective tissue to start to release and let go. So once you've found somewhere where you can be still, I invite you to close your eyes and breathe. Take a beautiful breath in. Breathe out. If your arms go back by your head and your head is back behind, allow yourself to catch your head with your fingers. Slowly lift up the weight of your head with your hands and pause. If your hands are by your side, gently gather your knees together very gently and pause. Those of you with your head in your hands, start to use your belly muscles and start to use the compression of your abdominals to bring yourself up really slowly. Draw the knees together, come down onto the elbows, and wherever we all are, we're going to remove the bolster or the yoga block and lie directly back down onto the ground and experience. If you have the bolster there, you can slide it under your legs. Experience what it feels like to have the shoulders just move back down to their natural space in the upper back. The sense of softness and release into the traps, the rear delts, the rhomboids, the subscap. Notice the heaviness of the upper back. Just let go. we're going to take it straight into our bridge pose, being that we're already here. So you've got a bolster under your knees, or a brick to the, I keep saying brick, a yoga block to the side. We're going to slide the yoga block or the bolster underneath our hips. I like to, it's really important not to go on the lumbar spine. We want to be directly opposite the two hip bones. And you'll feel very comfortable where you are. So I like to use the bolster, but if you have a yoga block, you go for it. And the arms are completely up to you. I quite like to rest them on my rib cage, and it really helps me tune into my breath like we did at the start. So as you're breathing in, what you will feel is an expansion of the rib cage and the lungs. As you breathe out, you just feel this really nice softening and relaxing and releasing down into the yoga block or the bolster, and then all we're going to do is stay. I'll give an option and a variation for extended legs in about 5 breaths. If you want more, you're welcome to slowly extend one leg or the other. If this causes you any issues or sharpness into your lower back, then please come back to where you were. You'll know if this is right for you or not. If your legs are extended, you're going to get a little bit deeper into the hip flexor and the psoas muscle on both sides. These blockages that we experience, these samskaras as such, these impressions have been built up over so many years, so much time, and a lot of the time from early childhood. It's the stuff that we couldn't process at the time, it's the stuff we couldn't deal with, and we either have an experience, because it's all an experience, where we get hurt, or it's painful, somebody might say something, or experience trauma, or we experience a situation that makes us feel really horrible, and it's an experience, and it happened in a second, but it's left a lifelong impression. And the other side of the scale is if we've had a really amazing experience, be it with someone or a relationship that was that we hold high in our hearts, and we keep looking for that same experience. Either one of those levels, either the high feeling or the dark feeling that we're trying to avoid, creates a blockage in our system, a samskara, because we've held on to the experience. So we're either trying to push it away, we don't want to feel that feeling or that experience again, so we do our best in our life to try and avoid it at all costs, like what I was reading about before. Or we continue to try and chase this high feeling, this experience that we had with someone or something, and we set these expectations, and when we don't feel like that, we feel like we're missing out. Almost like FOMO. But when we go through life, every single moment and every single experience should pass through us. Just like you do when you're driving to your yoga class, or you're driving to pick up your kids, or whatever it might be. And you pass trees, and you pass cars and street signs, and you see people and you see shops, but you don't remember anything about them. You couldn't tell me the colour, you couldn't tell me how many trees there were or who you saw. So all of that experience of driving to your yoga class or to the shops, it moves through you as what everything in life should do, but we choose to hold on to it. We hold on to these experiences, and as what Michael Singer said, over the years, we begin to create layer upon layer upon layer of these samskaras, the things that we have clung to or the things we have resisted. And that is where we start to create a blocked energy system, which is going to make us tired and stressed and overworked and frustrated, pissed off, low energy, jealous. We'll be constantly comparing. We'll live in a sense of judgment. And that all comes from this deep pain that we've stored inside of us. Take 3 more breaths here. And breathe in. Breathe out. If your legs are extended, please engage your belly slightly, start to bend one knee, bend the other. You'll end up in bridge pose with everybody else and the soles of the feet on the floor. We're going to very, very slowly push into the heels and remove the block or the bolster. And then again, you're welcome just to slide it underneath your knees and come to rest in just a rebound pose here to just pause. Just notice what you can feel. It's really important in Yin that we come to these rebound spaces so that the connective tissue and fascia has time to reorganize itself. Very natural and normal to experience a sense of fragility in Yin. So it's super important not to move quickly. Take one more breath in and a breath out. Gently just bend your knees and kick the bolster out slightly so that you have room to come up. We're going to just give our knees a little bit of a squeeze and have a little bit of activation here. So feel free to just rock side to side. I like to roll my ankles a little bit. You might like to bring your chin into your chest. I'll leave that up to you. And then however we get there, we're going to come up into a seated position. We're going to experience deer pose today. So we're going to, I really like this variation as opposed to pigeon. If you're really like pigeon pose or sleeping swan as they call it in Yin, then you're more than welcome to go into your sleeping swan. But I find I get a much deeper hip stretch from this space in my deer pose. So we're going to bring the right shin parallel. I'm going to sneeze. I think, hang on. Oh. Thank you. I am bringing my right shin parallel to the front of the mat. And then this left leg, it's up to you where it goes. I like to have it pretty open so that we're getting an external rotation into that right hip and an internal rotation into that left hip as we push the left knee down. Now, into this pose, we want to have our bolster and our blocks or whatever it might be in front of us so that we will be folding directly forward over the shin, not over the knee. Therefore, still maintaining this external rotation into that right hip and femur bone. So taking a full breath in, and as you exhale, starting to come down with a flat back and leaning into your forward fold. Goodness and tight here. So when we experience pain, of course, we will have this somatic response, right? Talking emotional pain of this stored stuff that's inside of us, you know. After we build up so many layers, and Michael Singer talks of it in his book, if you think of a pond or a river that is trying to flow, and over so many years we keep throwing stones and sticks and leaves and crap into the river, it's going to become very, very messy, and the flow of water is still going to flow, but it's going to have to go around all these blockages that we've popped into the system. And the same goes with our energy and up through our chakras. So when our energy system is blocked anywhere from our root chakra to our crown chakra, and I won't go into our chakras in this sequence, but we will experience a physical sensation.
when things are blocked in our body and this energy, samskara, is trying to come up, and we keep suppressing it and pushing it down, the energy is going to possibly come out. And that might come out as, say, back pain, it might come out as tight hips, it might come out as bloating or constipation or belly aches, anxiety, stress, headaches if it's up around this, the higher chakras. There's so many things that it can come out as, but energy is always constantly moving, and these samskaras, these impressions, if you think about it, they're like little whirlpools of energy. They're going round and round and round in circles until something external from us or outside of us triggers that samskara. As I said before, it could be a person or environment, or we can see something that reminds us of it, and straight away we start to feel pretty low. We move into our lower self. And the trick is here that when we feel our energy shift, right, we feel this tiredness, or we close, we judge ourselves, we criticize, we beat ourselves up, that immediately is a sign, we've noticed it somatically in our body, that we need to honor whatever it is that's coming up and not push it back down. And that's the key, and Michael Singer calls it relaxing and releasing. If we just relax and release into this energy that wants to come up, then we let it be there. We let it be there with compassion. We let it be there with kindness. We let it be there with no judgment. And maybe we ask the question, why? Why are you here? What are you here to teach me? What can I learn? And Yin helps that so much, because we're here, we're being still. And things will come up, because one of the other things that we can do to help these things come up is to be still. That's why so many of us are so busy all the time, or filling our minds and our bodies with the gym, or with shopping, or with spending, or with alcohol, or cigarettes, or drugs, or food, or no food. We're constantly looking for a distraction from the nature of the mind. The mind is just doing its thing. It wants us to feel these things that we have suppressed down. But we try to cover it up with something that distracts us from the thought. So Yin Yoga helps us be still, and in the stillness, it is when we are able to hear, listen, and nurture. Take 10 more breaths here in this deep hip stretch, and it's very, very natural and normal in a hip release. We're dealing with our sacral chakra as the center of our emotions and our sensual and sexual energy. And it's really, really natural and normal to feel quite emotional in these poses. So if anything does come up for you, let it be. Let it be there with this sense of compassion and kindness. Just lean in and surrender to what is. Five more breaths. You're exactly where you need to be. Try to let go of any areas you're holding on. Just breathe in. Breathe out. And take one more breath in. And one more breath out. Fully come back to center. And we're going to get into our hamstrings. So we're going to couple this with another stretch. We're going to slide the left leg all the way around. So my favorite shape's this one, into our half shoelace. So all I've done from here is brought my right leg over the top of my left. I've extended my left leg out long. I'll turn this way so you can see. Now if your hamstrings are really, really tight, what I do advise is putting both hands underneath the knee joint so that you support and you have a little slight bend into the knee when you fold forward. If your hamstrings are feeling pretty good, you don't have to do that, but I always like to start with the hands underneath the knee joint, just in case. You can also grab a block and that can rest on your knee. So again, we're coming to another forward fold and we're working into the space of the hamstring, into the calf and the Achilles, a little bit onto that left leg. Also experiencing our hip stretch as well, because we've got that right leg crossed over the left. So taking a big breath in, and as we exhale, to your degree, we start to fold forward. So half shoelace pose. And don't worry if you've gone to fold forward and there's nothing there. I remember doing this pose for so many years and I was like this because my hamstrings were so tight. So a beautiful way, especially in Yin, to be simply okay with where we're at. If we are constantly trying to strive or get our chest to our knee or our head or forehead to our leg, what happens when we get there? You don't get a gold medal and, go, I've done it, I've made it. You're then looking for something else. And if you're always searching, you'll always be looking. So let yourself be completely content and accepting of exactly where you are and celebrate that. Absolutely fucking celebrate it. Because there is no other way. So take a full breath in. And then let go of any resistance to that. Surrender. You are now here. Close down your eyes and breathe deep. So do you really care what people think about your clothes or your car? Do you really need to feel embarrassed if you forget somebody's name? How can you let these meaningless things cause pain? If you want out, and if you want a decent life and to feel free, you had better not devote your life to avoiding psychological pain. You had better not spend your life worrying about whether people like you or whether your car impresses people. What kind of life is that? It is a life of pain. You may not think that you feel pain that often, but you really do. To spend your life avoiding pain and avoiding these blockages, the samskaras, means it is always right behind you. You're always running or numbing from it. At any point, you could slip and say the wrong thing. At any point, anything can happen. So you end up devoting your life to the avoidance of pain. Once you look inside yourself and start to own this, you will see that you are back to the same two choices. One choice is to leave the pain inside and continue to struggle with the outside and try and control it. Or the other choice is to decide that you don't want to spend the rest of your life avoiding the inner pain and you'd rather get rid of it. 5 more breaths. The beautiful thing is we always have a choice in every single moment. Nothing that has happened in our past is relevant to this moment right now. Nothing. So learning this technique of relaxing and releasing is so powerful, from just somebody driving in front of us and not driving the way that we want them to drive, to relaxing and releasing out of our old stories, our old beliefs out of ourselves, and the things that we have held on to for months, for years, for decades. It is all irrelevant. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. Engage your belly slowly. Come up out of that. Always stacking your spine. Take a moment to then bring your right leg out in front. And bend your right knee and your left and come into this kind of hammock of the shoulders where we kind of just sink back in, chin to chest. And very, very, very slowly let the knees just rock side to side. There's never any rush, so if you need more time here, take it. If not, we're going to find our way into our deer pose on the other side. So the left shin will come
parallel to the front of the mat, and the right leg is to your degree either closer to the foot or further away. We're opening up into the left hip now and working on a stretch into the glute max with an external rotation on the right side and internal rotation of the left hip. Again, please bring blocks, props, whatever in front of you as we take a full breath in, and on your exhale, so allow yourself to fold forward. Give yourself the space you need and the time to surrender. Under stress and tension and anxiety and too much doing all the time, and I'm sure you understand what I mean by that, the tissues and the fascia in our bodies become very tight, they cling on and they grab, and we experience rigidity. And our bodies are meant to be soft and supple yet strong, playful and light, and we're meant to move a lot and experience this beautiful sense of flow. But with a lot of rigidity in the deep fascia and connective tissue, that is then going to bring us into having tight muscles, and we're going to feel very rigid and very stuck. So Yin is the only practice that allows us to get into the connective tissue and the fascia by sending a neural message from the brain to, say, the glute to surrender and let go of your grip and soften. So it's always nice to visualize that when you're coming into any Yin shape, and send your breath to the area that is tight. And then on your exhale, experience this feeling of relaxing and releasing. Just like what you can do with those old thoughts or the chatter of the mind, or when we feel ourselves attaching to an experience that we've had, be it a negative or a positive experience, ask ourselves a question: is this worth my energy? And if it's not, relax, release, and let it go. Take 8 more breaths here. Just try to soften any areas that are holding on your jaw, shoulders, fingers, toes, and go. Breathe in, exhale. Engage your belly very mindfully. I could have almost fallen asleep there, and you shouldn't be able to fall asleep in the Yin pose, but I was just in a state, I was like, so good.
We're going to swing that right leg around and we're going to come into our shoelace, half shoelace on the other side. So foot extends out in front. We cross the left leg over. Please, again, if you need to, bring those hands underneath the crease into the knee. Take a full breath in and exhale, fold forward. And again, I didn't go on the other side, but you're more than welcome to let your head rest on a block. This, however, will provide a little bit more pressure onto that knee, of course. So if you are experiencing a stretch in your hamstring and down into the calf and possibly the Achilles, and you're exactly where you need to be. Close your eyes and breathe. The last little piece that I want to share with you goes like this. He says, what would your life be like if it wasn't run by that pain and those reactions? You would be free. You could walk around this world completely free, just having fun. Just being comfortable with whatever happens, whether it be a negative or a positive experience. You can actually live a life full of interesting experiences and just enjoy these experiences, whatever they are. In essence, you can simply live your life and experience what it's like to be on a planet that is spinning around in the middle of nowhere until you die. Isn't that the most vivid, visual? It's crazy, right? And yet we allow ourselves to be connected to the tiniest things. You must look inside of yourself and determine from now on that pain is not a problem. It is actually a teacher. Somebody can say something to you that can cause your heart to react and catch fire, but then it passes. It's a temporary experience. But if you do not learn to be comfortable with it, you'll devote your life to avoiding it. And I'm sure we've all been there, including myself. If you feel insecurity, it's just a feeling. You can handle a feeling. If you feel embarrassed, it's just a feeling. If you feel jealousy and your heart burns, just look at it objectively, like you would a mild bruise. It's a thing in the universe that's passing through your system. Laugh at it, have fun with it, but don't be afraid of it. It cannot touch you unless you choose to touch it. When you are comfortable with pain passing through you, you will be free. The world will never be able to bother you again because the worst the world can do is hit the pain stored within you. If you do not care, if you are no longer afraid of yourself, you are free. 3 more breaths. You'll then be able to walk through this world more vibrant and alive than ever before. You'll feel everything at a deeper level. You'll begin to have truly beautiful experiences rise up within you. Eventually you'll understand that there is an ocean of love behind all this fear and pain. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. And slowly rising up, engage your core. I'm going to come into one last and final pose before we twist, and that's going to be our dragonfly pose. So I've got a bit of an angle here. We're going to come into a wide leg forward fold, and you can always do this up against a wall if you need to support your back. Please bring a bolster or whatever you may need in front of you to support. Sometimes it's really nice to even stack up the bolster with a few bricks so that it provides a really nice level. It's not the word, but you get what I'm saying. To support ourselves. So allow yourself not to feel forced here. So wherever we are in that straddle, take a full breath in, and as you exhale, we're just going to simply fold forward. I want you to not force here, not really trying to have a flat long, so it's more this spinal extension here as we're really just working into rounding that upper back. And then just let the forehead go down. I said extension, I meant flexion. We're in forward fold. So we want to experience this spreading of the rib cage. I'm definitely in a yin headspace at the moment. And that does happen after about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. You'll find you'll very easily slip into your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the space of your rest and digest. So please just work wherever you need to work within this forward fold. All of us are going to look different. Don't attach yourself to what you think it should look like. Just let yourself, again, practice the acknowledgement of being completely okay with where you're at. Come back to your breath. Michael Singer also says, our mind is a place the soul goes to hide from the heart. When things get too tough for us and we have too many layers, we tend to revert back to the mind because it hurts to feel what's in our heart space. So a beautiful teaching that I've taken from his teachings and I share regularly with my year 9s that I go and teach at school is whenever we have a thought that doesn't serve us in our head, and we have plenty of those, we need to ask the question, what is it that my heart needs? Because everything stems from our heart. If we were feeling gratitude and acceptance and love and joy in our heart, then we're not going to be experiencing those negative and lower self thoughts. So it is up to us to tune in to the thoughts that we think and the words that we speak, and then ask ourselves, what is it that's going on in my heart space that is causing this reaction, this vibration, and this thought that doesn't lift me up? When we lean into fear and pain and we let it be there, he says over time you will form an intensely personal relationship with this beautiful inner force. It will replace the relationship you currently have with inner pain and disturbance. Now peace and love and content will run your life. When you pass beyond the layer of pain, you will finally be free from the binds of your psyche. Michael Singer. Take 10 more breaths as you are. Wherever you are is perfect. Let yourself become heavy. Connect with your breath and surrender. Five more breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. Wherever you are, engage your belly. Very slowly. Keep the belly drawing to spine. Start to stack your spine one vertebrae at a time. Move slow. Eventually, in time, just really mindfully and slowly making your way down to your back. I'm going to come straight into a space of a happy baby. So the knees grow wide, reach your hands up. Catch the underside of your feet and just spend 10 breaths here. Maybe rocking and rolling side to side, maybe you're still. Let your head be heavy and let your tailbone try to come down to the ground.
notice your breath. Take one more breath in and a breath out. My dog just took a big breath in then too, that's hilarious. Gently give your knees a squeeze. Now, as you're here, give yourself a hug. I want you to feel this immense gratitude and love for yourself. Say thank you to your physical body and feel yourself smile from the inside out. Give yourself some love. Why the fuck not? When you're ready, we're going to relax into shavasana. I'm going to use my bolster under my knees. If you need a twist, you can pause the video. If not, you come straight down and in. And for this shavasana, I'm going to let my hands just rest on my heart space. You can choose to pop your hands wherever you like. I just invite you to take 3 big deep breaths here with the intention of relaxing and releasing. And even if it's letting go of something small that you've been carrying, it could be something that happened earlier today or something that someone has said. And ask yourself, is it really that relevant? And I can guarantee you that no matter how small or how big the blockage is that is getting stuck in our system, it is not going to serve you and it's completely irrelevant. So start with the small steps. Let something really small go. And what you practice grows stronger. The more you practice letting go, just simply surrendering to what is, the more you start to create space and find your flow state. Breathe in. And release, let go. For those of you wanting to experience a longer shavasana, I totally invite you to stay a little longer. If not, start to join me in becoming aware of where you are, the temperature of the room that you're in, how the clothes feel on your body, your skin. Notice the parts of you that connect with the earth. Pay attention to the pace of your breath, the taste in your mouth and what you can smell and what you can hear. Notice the space of your internal organs and everything that goes on that you don't see. Start to smile from the inside out, really feeling this beautiful flow state that happens from our root chakra all the way to the crown of our head. Imagine and visualize your body and your energy just like that pool. where the energy is flowing freely, just like the water that is not blocked by the rocks and the sticks and the stones. Visualize yourself just having this constant abundance of energy and feeling vibrant and alive and appreciative and grateful. And visualize yourself that when we experience it, these blockages outside, and we will, visualize how you're going to respond. Are we able to look at these experiences and possibly say thank you? Thank you for showing up. Thank you for letting me experience this so that I can heal. Thank you for letting me heal, to feel what I need to do to move past and through this. Start to wriggle your toes, bring that smile from the inner body to the outside in the corners of your mouth. Maybe your hands come above your head, and your next inhale, and you stretch along and squeeze your muscles, and if you had the bolster on your knees, push it away. Just gently roll to your side and take a moment here to pause and say thank you again. Come into the highest vibration we can, which is gratitude and appreciation. And let yourself really just bask in that for a moment. What is it that you can be grateful for? You feel ready, gently make your way up to seated and take a moment to just be still. However that is for you. Sit with a long spine and maybe move your neck 1 or 2 times. Take a breath in. Hold. Breathe out. And do that one more time. Now breathe in how you want to feel when you leave this video. Pause and let that feeling move through every single cell in your body. And then slowly release, let go, surrender. You are now in this moment. I wanted to share a quote. I could be from Gandhi, but I could be wrong. Love teaches me that I am everything. Wisdom teaches me that I am nothing. And in between the two, my life moves. Bring your hands gently to the space of your third eye, the space where we experience the thoughts, the space where we observe what's going on, and the space where we have a choice whether or not we attach to the thoughts or we let them move through us. Remember, you are at the seat of the soul experiencing the thoughts. You are not the thoughts. They do not define you. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Namaste. Oh, that ended up being a really juicy yin session, didn't it? I'm feeling really good after that. I hope you are too. Again, all of those teachings, most of them anyway, are from this book here, Michael Singer. You can see I have spent a lot of time in this book, The Untethered Soul. I'm so grateful for these teachings. Those of you who have been coming to my classes know that I've been sharing a lot out of this book for the last 6 months. And it's just so relevant today. And the more we talk about pain and anxiety and depression and all of these stuff that are really uncomfortable to talk about, shame and guilt and trauma, the more that we talk about it and allow ourselves to feel this rather than suppress it back down, the more we can actually just let ourselves feel this sense of freedom and content. And we actually start to operate and move into our higher self. And the more that we do that, then we then shining a light for others to then do the same. So give yourself permission to feel and experience the things that are shitty and uncomfortable and awkward. And then go and share that with others, and you then become a light for them, and then they become a light for others. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I am off social media for the next month. I have a website, www.watchyalanguage.com,
But I'd really appreciate it if you jumped on and subscribed and liked, because this is where I'll be sharing a lot of my content, and of course on my website, hopefully getting off social media, at least Facebook anyway. I'll be back on Instagram with my Watch Ya Language page. I will be deleting my Meg Linton one and moving on to that for my book. So yeah, I'd appreciate if you did that. So namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. Have an amazing day.